Thank you guys all for coming. Today I'm going to be talking about how to turn influencer marketing into sales. Before we start, I just want to get a quick show of hands. Who's using influencer marketing right now in their business? Quite a number of you, great. Okay, how many of you think that you're using it effectively to actually drive sales conversions? Not just using it to vanity metrics, brand awareness? Okay, so all the hands went down. Would you like to drive sales with influencer marketing? Yes? Okay, because this presentation isn't about getting likes or comments. It's not about feeling good about getting brand awareness metrics. This is about turning your influencer campaigns into profit-generating machines that your CFO will actually love. But first, why listen to me? Why come to this talk? Why trust me? Well, I'm a 24-year-old entrepreneur, Forbes 30 under 30, who owns one of the fastest growing influencer marketing agencies in the UK. I started out at the age of 13 with 11 years of experience. This little guy in the corner was me getting my first ever laptop in 2013, which served me very well for starting my agency. I have every perspective when it comes to influencer marketing. I've been a creator, I've worked in brands, and now I run an agency, so I know all sides of the industry. And I'm able to drive real results. Every single year, me and my team manage millions in influencer spend and actually drive measurable outcomes. I launched my agency that I run today, Saulderson Media, from a cancer ward. I was diagnosed with stage 2A Hodgkin's lymphoma at the age of 16. And this diagnosis gave me a new perspective on life. And it made me realize that I had to take action now. If I wanted to achieve success, I had to do it today. And with that, I launched my agency, Saulderson Media. And now, we're one of the UK's fastest growing specialist influencer marketing agencies. We manage millions every single year in influencer spend, supporting huge clients like Netflix, AB InBev, Ubisoft, Acer, and we even work with Odoo every so often. Our agency has been recognized internationally, winning the Best Boutique Agency at the Global Influencer Marketing Agency Awards, alongside many other accolades. And our global team run campaigns in 18 different territories that stays true to our missions to ensure that our influencer campaigns make the brand, influencers, and the audiences win. The number of different brands that trust us, from Acer to AB InBev to Intel to Netflix, we have done it all. And we've also done some of the coolest campaigns on the planet. We sent a phone up into space, we made Squid Game come to life in virtual reality, and we sent Revolut, a very well-known finance brand, to number 2 on YouTube trending. Is it still working? Doesn't seem to be moving. It's still going? It doesn't seem to be moving. Is it still moving or? Ah, there we go. Never mind, that was weird. Anyways, but what we know better than anyone else is how to actually make influencer marketing campaigns profitable in whatever way a brand defines profitable. So, who's excited? I hope by the end of this presentation you're going to be like these AI generated characters, smiley faces, because you've learned a lot from today. But this topic is complex, and there's only so much that I can fit into a 30-minute presentation, so I'm probably not going to be able to dive deep into every single one of these topics. But I've got good news. At the end of this presentation, I've got 2 free gifts for all of you, just to say sorry for not being able to give you as much value as I would love to today, and trust me, you don't want to miss these. Right, influencer marketing is now a $32 billion industry, and it has no sign of slowing down. As you can see on the screen, brands are shifting more and more spend to this channel. Social and digital spend is growing faster than any other channel, and influencer marketing spend is outpacing other social and digital ad spends this year in 2025. And advertising is becoming community first. We've crossed the chasm. We're now in the mainstream market where brands are looking to compare influencer marketing's effectiveness to other channels. But most campaigns fail. And before we talk about what works, let's address why you are probably here to learn. Most influencer campaigns fail to produce measurable ROI. And it's not because influencer marketing doesn't work. It's because brands are doing it completely wrong. So let's dive into the key mistakes that brands are making today and what you guys can do to fix these. So, mistake number 1 is treating influencers as add-ons. Most brands still today are siloing off influencers as its own marketing channel. They're seen as a tactic and not an overall strategy. Influencers are not being considered at the heart of media plans, and brands see them as an add-on and don't integrate them into the wider marketing funnel. and into their overall conversion funnel. What they see is just, oh, we should maybe add some influencers now to our strategy and just as a cherry on top. But you really need to be thinking about how you can use influencers in all parts of your marketing funnel. You're also using influencers that have zero relevance. Brands are not being targeted with their influencer activations. And using influencers that not have relevance to your target customer is so ineffective. And relevance is one of the most important key aspects of if an influencer campaign is going to perform and actually drive sales. If the collaboration is not
plus de 25,000 clients et plus de 40 ans.
Always better. Like if you just think that I'm going to go get Mr. Beast because he's the biggest creator with the biggest audience, you're doing it all wrong. And you're probably going to spend multiple millions and not get very much in return. The third mistake is expecting instant magic. Brands expect every influencer to convert first time and then say the channel doesn't work. And this is just not the case. You have to test, iterate, and learn. Fourth, brands are missing influencers in the conversion funnel. They're not integrating influencers throughout the funnel. You create a piece of content with influencers and it's great, and then you send them through your funnel, and immediately customers don't convert because you're sending them to dry landing pages. The momentum dies instantly. It's like building a bridge that ends halfway across a river. The fifth mistake is using feelings over data, and what everyone likes to say, vibes these days. Everyone thinks that, oh, I like this influencer, he's got good vibes, he could be great. It's based off of feel. It's not actually based on cold, hard data. So you have to get over your excitement of working with the influencers that you really enjoy and want to use, and actually use influencers that are going to drive measurable results. But don't worry, we can fix those mistakes. Before we actually talk about how to do it right, there's some strategies that you should be thinking about for each individual platform of how to drive performance. So if you want to do influencer marketing on YouTube, well, YouTube is king for conversions. Direct response is capable on YouTube because you have links in the description, you've got links in pinned comments, and you can also have QR codes. So it's the best platform to start driving direct response in an organic fashion. YouTube's also built for search. It's one of the most popular search engines in the world. So content become evergreen and grow over time. And the half-life of a YouTube video is much longer. You can have evergreen conversions ongoing. Some of our clients see conversions a year on because of how YouTube's algorithm works. And audiences spend far longer with the creator, and more relationships with the creator means more conversions. With something like Instagram and TikTok, these platforms are built for sharp, witty content. And with these platforms, you want to engage your audience early because these are really about driving awareness. The number one thing that you need to be thinking about when you're doing campaigns on Instagram and TikTok is shareability. These platforms are based on how many times the audience is sharing it with other people, and that's what's going to drive it in the algorithm. So, taking that into consideration, how do we best leverage these platforms to turn our influencer marketing campaigns into sales? Well, the first thing is testing and then doubling down on what works. So you should assign a test budget and work with a large enough sample size of influencers to collect data on what converts and what doesn't. You want to drop those that don't hit a certain conversion metric. So that might be a customer acquisition cost or a ROAS. So let's say your customer acquisition cost is $50 and someone drives a $70 customer acquisition cost. You want to drop them. Then you want to renew those that perform well on longer term deals, because ultimately the second or the third ad with an influencer often perform better because you have multiple touch points. You've built trust with that influencer's audience now. Remember that saying that it takes about 7 touch points to convert with an audience. And then those you see a bit of a positive signal with, but maybe you don't hit that CAC target or that ROAS target. You then want to work with them again, but try and negotiate them on lower rates to see if you can get the best out of that second or third integration or that second, third brand deal, because often the audience isn't actually bought in yet. Then what you want to do is look at custom offers for your influencer journeys. You want to give the audience a reason to convert right now, today. The best brands have a specific offer that is custom, personalized, and time specific. The influencer gives this to the audience. You then need to integrate these creators into the flow, include their face in the landing pages, maybe a testimonial from the creator or a video, and then also include them into that checkout flow. You want the influencer to be integrated all the way from the video right the way to conversion, otherwise they're going to see a drop off. And even creators' logo or face can improve conversion rate on a page by up to 30%. And this works at scale. The best brands who are spending multiple millions a year on influencers are doing this. Look at AG1, Surfshark, Manscaped, Hostinger. These companies spend multiple millions, and Manscaped spend $15 million a year on influencer marketing profitably, and that's generating a return on investment because they focus on renewals and long-term partnerships as well as using custom offers. Then what you want to look at is smarter selection criteria. You want to stop relying on these purely vanity metrics and focus on the deeper metrics. And one of my favorite metrics is what I call comment ratio. And this is much better than engagement rate, because engagement rate tells you how many people engage with the video in total. But most of these could just be likes, and likes are super easy. You know, I could just scroll through my Instagram Reels today and just tap like on every single video, and I do that. But people who want to actually engage with the content, they will go and physically actually comment on the content. And you need to be looking at influencers' comments. Are the comments thoughtful, inquisitive? Are they speaking about the brand? Are they asking questions? Or is the influencer just getting a bunch of like emojis and unnecessary comments? If you're getting deep, thoughtful comments on an influencer's piece of content, that's realistically going to convert much better. You also then want to think about who the content is made for. Does it align with the target audience that you're actually looking to speak to? One of the biggest things then after that is organic pain point mentions. Does the influencer talk about the key pain points that they're facing in the product in their content frequently? For example, you could have a female health influencer who's talking about getting period cramps in 5 videos prior, and then you come as a sort of heat pack sponsorship. This is super organic and natural because the audience already knows that this is an actual pain point that the influencer isn't just getting paid to promote, they actually care about this product. And then rebooking rates from other brands. This is a strong indicator of whether an influencer converts. These brands that I showed you in the previous slide, they want to rebook creators that are driving them revenue and sales. So if a creator is getting rebooked multiple times, that's a good indication that they're going to actually drive sales. And then what you need to be looking at is negotiating on deeper metrics. Everyone negotiates on CPMs and sort of viewership to a fee. You actually want to start looking at your CPA target, average click-throughs on other marketing channels, and your website conversions to basically decide the basis of how you're going to negotiate with the creators. And this makes the conversation with the influencer much more performance focused, because you can bring them, we know that we're going to realistically get this click-through rate and this conversion rate, you're charging this much and our CPA target's this. It's not going to be profitable, and you can start that conversation from day one and start trying to manage offers in that way, and it means you're going to be much more effective than just a CPM at the top level. You then also want to look at search optimized sponsorships. We're moving into a new era of search. People are searching more than ever across AI, YouTube, and TikTok. Video is becoming far more sought after, and when people are searching platforms, they're prioritizing video discovery. Google now shows TikToks, Instagram Reels, and YouTube videos alongside in their search. And AI is suggesting videos when you ask it in your search, and it's scraping information from videos. So aligning your sponsorships into search terms that are already being searched for means the audience has higher intent when they come to that video because they're looking for that content. They're seeking out that content. And it also increases your chance of being discovered in what's trending. And there's a really good example with our client Hostinger, and we put a really big focus on that. And if you're into AI, you've probably seen this NAN boom that's popping up everywhere. And there's lots of creators who are trying to find out about what's the best NAN workflow, what's the best NAN automation, how to use NAN as a beginner. So with Hostinger, we're actually integrating certain products that have relevance into NAN into these types of videos, and they're organically bringing them up into the wider flow of the video. Hostinger's VPS product is perfect for this content, and it allows anyone to self-host NAN on a server. And therefore, we can naturally show Hostinger as the perfect solution to get started with NAN. And we're seeing video topics that are highly trending and which we integrate Hostinger to convert 2.3x higher than other videos. And this is on new billings and sales. Then, if you want to actually drive conversions with Instagram, you can use something like ManyChat. And this turns Instagram, which is a historically difficult place to drive direct response through Reels, into somewhere that you can make a direct response machine. And you probably guys have seen these comment X for Y, and I'll send you something on Instagram. So for example, I might say, if this was a video, comment Saulderson, and I'll send you the ultimate influencer sales playbook. What would then happen about 2 seconds after is you'd have a DM from me with a link in your DM where you can go ahead and download this playbook. And this is ManyChat, and brands need to leverage this to not lose out on the momentum when they're doing influencer marketing, because people lose attention quickly, especially on short form content. So if you're asking them to go to the profile page, click a link in the bio, you're going to lose them. Whereas if you're directly sending them the link to their DMs, you have a much higher chance of converting. And then the final strategy is influencer whitelisting. And this allows you to extend the life of your influencer content through whitelisting. And really, this means that what you would do is you would get influencers' content, you would put paid spend behind it, and amplify it out to a wider audience. So think about if you're just running paid ads, right? It's basically just running paid ads through an influencer's video. And influencers can capture the eyes and ears of people that you wouldn't actually be able to reach. And you can get to the people's eyes and ears for a less amount of money. Influencers have higher relevancy and engagement potential with users who've previously engaged with them, but not with you. And this leads to better directly measurable results and widens the reach of that halo effect, which I'm going to talk about shortly. Influencers have better CPMs against their core and extended respective audiences, and you can also tap into niche and micro creators with incredible content quality and scale the impact of your content up. And finally, there's multi-channel influencer integration. And really this is the biggest opportunity that brands miss, using influencer content across every single marketing channel. So alongside paid social, you should be using your influencers in out-of-home, into email marketing, into paid search, because familiar faces improve brand recall and ultimately increase higher CTRs. In email marketing, these testimonials from creators, it builds trust and helps you in your retargeting of the content. And one of the biggest stats to potentially think about within this is that 80% of influencer impact is actually indirect. That is people who are impacted by the influencer's reach, but do not click or use the voucher code within the description or in the bio. And to put that into context, for every £1 that you see tracked against click-based purchases, there's going to be another £4 in untracked impact, which only actually exists because of the influencer's reach. And that leads to this halo effect, which is that kind of 1 + 1 = 3 opportunity that we create. When you integrate influencer content across paid, organic, social, out of home, there's a magical combination. The combination is greater than the sum of the individual parts when you silo things off. Customers see this consistent, rounded messaging and focus across all of those touch points, creating a unified brand experience that builds trust faster and converts better. So, your immediate action plan from this talk. What I want you guys to do is audit your current campaigns. Identify which influencers are actually driving conversions, and you could use Google Analytics or other forms of tracking. Implement that test and double down strategy. Set up some proper tracking and renewal strategies. What is that target customer acquisition cost? What is that target ROAS? And then create some custom user journeys. Custom landing pages that have influencers' faces that are driven all the way to that conversion flow. And then expand your influencers into multi-channel. If you're only using influencers as a siloed organic content in 2025 and 2026, you're missing out on that halo effect. You're missing out on so much more of the value. You need to be bringing influencers into the heart of your media plan. Okay, we're done. I know it was a lot to take in a very short time, and I know you guys probably have a lot of questions, but I only have 3 minutes because I started a little bit late. And not everything can be answered in such a short session. But obviously I mentioned I have a couple of gifts for you at the end, so I just want to live up to my promises. On the screen, I've left 2 free gifts. On one side, you can get a free influencer strategy audit from our team, where you guys can come on and have a one-to-one call. Oh, it's gone. Never mind. They took my QR codes away, which is a shame. But I had 2 QR codes up on the screen. There we go. Please scan. You can get a free whitelisting guide on this side, where you guys can, obviously I talked about whitelisting right at the end, where you can learn everything there is to know about whitelisting. I could do a whole other 1-hour presentation on whitelisting, but this is the next best bet. And on the right hand side, we'll give you a free influencer strategy. You can apply for that there. My colleague Adam usually runs a lot of those. He's in the front here, so if you want a live strategy session, you can come and chat to him at the end. And now, any questions? Let's do that. We've only got 2 minutes, so let's go with it.
Hello. Yeah, you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So now you can see, you can scan the QR code up there if you have questions and fill them on the pad quickly, and then I'll interview him. We have 5 minutes, so we'll have to hurry a little bit. Yes.
Oh, right.
Well,
I thought we'd...
a little bit less, but...
okay, cool. That's fine, yeah. We started a little bit late, so I was rushing through it, but glad we have enough time for questions.
All right, so we already have a first question. Could you please recommend a few potential Instagram Reel hooks for brands, influencers in the professional sports niche?
Interesting. Oh, who asked the question? Just
I don't know who asked it, but
could
whoever asked the question, can you raise your hand maybe?
Depends on the product, depends on the sport as well, who you're targeting. So I need to know a little bit more. Are you able to resubmit with just some?
Yeah, they can add. They can add.
Just add a bit of information.
Just waiting for questions to come in.
All good.
They're specifying international tennis, modest sports brand.
Okay. I mean, if it was tennis, obviously, I think you would probably want to tap into the trends. Obviously, US Open just finished, and there's a lot of like funny, entertaining, trending content that's come out of that. So what I typically tend to get people to look at is what is already viral in your niche and what are the hooks related to that and how can you apply them to your brand. So let's say there was like some funny I know there's like a Yannick Sinner funny meme from the US Open where he's running about, and you could start with something like that and then transition into your brand. And these are all interesting and engaging hooks. Obviously, you'd have to do it under the case of fair use, but generally, go through similar content that's already organic and gone viral, see what hooks are performing well and what's trending organically, and then replicate some of these things and then integrate them into your brand.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, how did you estimate 80% in indirect effect, and what is the data that the claim is based on?
So that's come from, there's a stat that I didn't put out there, and I can share it to whoever asks about it after. It's come from, obviously a lot of brands and performance marketing use first click data as what they're doing. That's just come from a MMM model. So an MMM model that has basically looked at organic uplift of when you're doing influencer content across a certain campaign window, what is the organic uplift that you receive from that influencer content? And that's been shown to have 80% more impact across other marketing channels. So it's an organic uplift metric from a MMM study.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Next question is, how can I find the right LinkedIn influencer?
In LinkedIn influencers, there's a platform called Favicon that is pretty much the main place that a lot of LinkedIn influencers are being able to be discovered on. So a lot of the influencer marketing tools only show YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, but Favicon is the one that basically ranks all these top lists of growing LinkedIn influencers, and they now have a LinkedIn search tool on there, so that's the best place, and it's a tool that we use as well.
Okay, thank you. One more question. How much budget should I plan for influencer marketing? Do you have an example for a campaign with an influencer?
Well, that's like the age-old question of like, how much money should I do with anything? It really depends what the outcomes are. The way that I always suggest it is ultimately define the outcome first and then work it back to what the budget should be to rely to the outcome. So if you want to work with one influencer, or a single influencer, it really would depend on the size of the influencer, the scale. But if you have, for example, this month we want to achieve X number of clicks or this much awareness or this many views, you would then work it back from there based on industry benchmarks. So let's say your industry has a CPM benchmark of $20 and you want to get 1 million views, then you're obviously going to do $20 times a million views and work out the budget from there. So it's kind of one of these questions that's very hard without the objective behind it, but work out what your objective is and then work the budget back there from your sort of industry benchmarks on CPM, CPAs, and things like that.
Thank you. And last question before we wrap up. How can I build a strong marketing plan without being on social media? Is that possible?
I don't think so anymore, personally. I think that we're now in the age where if you're not running on social, you're missing out on pretty much everything. So I personally don't say so, but I also could be very biased. Obviously, in more traditional industries, you possibly could. What I would say about social media is like, if you guys are doing stuff and maybe focusing on more traditional stuff and you don't want to do social media, try and optimize the things that you're doing out with social media to potentially have viral potential. So if you do like billboards, for example, try and make the billboard super engaging and funny to the point where people are going to take a picture of it, post it on Twitter, and there's going to start a conversation about it, because then you can get that social media impact without doing it yourself. So a lot of brands are doing this, trying to make their in real life activity become viral on social.
All right, thank you very much,
Thank you guys very much.
A round of applause for Suhit. Thank you.